All right, everyone, we are live. Welcome to today's webinar. Super excited to have all of you with us. There is going to be a private chat section. So, and anyone that wants to comment, go ahead and start filling in where you guys are joining us from. I want to go ahead and introduce Sam. I'm going to make it official, guys, right? Sam's a friend and a business partner on some deals. So I was just going to make the introduction the way I wanted to, but we're going to we're going to make
do
it
however you want to.
No,
man.
we're going to do it official. All right. So we've got Sam Wakefield with us. He is the founder of Close It Now. He's an international best-selling author. He is the host of a podcast, Close It Now podcast, that is ranked in the top 1.5% globally. Sam Wakefield helps home service professionals sell with integrity, confidence, and purpose. With nearly 2 decades, I know it's hard to believe, folks, look how young he looks, but with nearly 2 decades in the HVAC and trades industry, he's trained thousands to raise close rates, increase average tickets, and build sales cultures rooted in trust. His mission is super simple. I've heard him say this hundreds of times: be someone worth buying from. So I would like to introduce Sam Wakefield. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Well, thank you for the official intro.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm really excited to do this with you today.
So, look, just why don't you introduce yourself? Give everybody a little backstory while we're letting others roll in.
Yeah, absolutely. And as everybody's coming in, a few questions I'd love to ask you. If you go ahead and drop in the chat, definitely let us know where you're tuning in today. What part of the country are you in, or around the world, wherever you are globally. I'd love to know also, how long have you been in sales? 1 year, 5 year, 10 years. That would be really cool. So put those in the chat while we're coming in. But yeah, a little bit more of my background. I've been in the HVAC industry for 20 years now. I started off as an attic rat pulling ductwork in the hot Texas Panhandle, years and years ago. Moved through that, did that for a couple years. Did a little bit of service, and actually, I changed gears when I had a run in with a live electric wire, wild wire in an attic. It caught me on the arm, and the guy next to me had to kick it off of me. So it was a kind of a scary moment, and so I said, okay, I've got to change something in my life here. So I actually quit and taught guitar lessons for a little bit. And then the owner calls me back and says, hey, man, I want you to come to it. It wasn't for very long. It was like one summer. The owner calls me back and says, hey, man, I want you to come do sales for me. My brother, who was the last sales guy, is leaving. I know you're not going to underbid the labor because you did it. I was like, okay. And so I started back in, and literally my sales training when I first started was, here's the stack of leads the last guy didn't call for, it was like 3 months worth. And I don't know who, just completely mismanaged because nobody knew he wasn't even calling the leads. And here's our price book. Go make money. Oh, wow. And so the first 2 or 3 months of what I did, I literally just sat there and dialed for dollars. I was like, hey, sorry, somehow this got missed. I'm taking over your file. Love the opportunity to come out and have a conversation with you. Are you still in the market for an air conditioner? Is basically how I got started. And from there, just stepped into business and life. Ended up setting some national records with a couple different organizations, and here we are. This many years later, we are all coming up on 6.5 years, almost 7 years of running the podcast, having the Close It Now, doing sales training, one-on-one coaching, and on-site training for companies all over North America. And so, and Jonathan actually was at my event I hosted in Boston in May of this year, which was a big 3-day event that was really pretty groundbreaking and changed a lot of lives. So yeah. There's the longer version of the intro that I normally give.
It was a great event, and I was there, and Christian was there, and Christian's here in the comments. So
hey, Christian.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool to see him jump in here and share some love. So
love it.
Well, man, let's.
Hey, there we go. Let me flip over. I want to see the comments. What's up, Christian?
let's hop into it. We want to
Cool.
cover kind of what some of the challenges that you've been hearing
Hmm.
from your clients that you work with. It's been a tough 2025, I think, across the
Hmm.
country, and I think shoulder season is going to be a little more concerning this year than most. So, kind of
Hmm.
talk through what you plan on teaching people
I love
today.
it. Yeah, so you're exactly right. It has been a rough year for most of the companies, with a handful of exceptions. We can talk about that later. There are some companies that are absolutely crushing it. They're taking a different route. But yeah, for most people, it's been a struggle. And so, what I put together for everybody today is creating urgency in a slow season. Every single year, this time of spring and fall comes around, it gets into shoulder season, and I get lots of messages. Man, everybody just wants to think about it. Nobody's ready to move forward. They say it looks good, but nobody's ready to buy. They say, "We'll wait till spring, we'll wait till fall." And so, how do we create real urgency, not just and one of the main things about urgency, there's a lot of trainers out there. There's a lot of ways to fabricate fake urgency, which turns out being just really gross. That's given our industry such a black eye of people being forced into things, and that's not the right way to do it. So, we're going to talk today about how to create real urgency, how to lead buyers through what I call the story arc of the sale. So as we're getting in, we've got a lot more people on now. A couple questions. Definitely drop in the chat box, and I want this to be a conversation. Let's use the chat box as a conversation here. Where are you coming in from? I would love to know, how long have you been in sales? Drop that in the chat. And have you ever heard me train before or listened to the Close It Now podcast? I'd love to hear if you have in the chat with that. And then if you want to add, have you ever taken any kind of formal sales training before? And so we've got San Antonio, and what's up, Christian, San Antonio. And for everybody else, drop it in the chat. And so, so here's what we're going to be diving in today. We're going to talk about how to control the emotional flow of every sale. It's so buyers will stop stalling, they'll stop fixating on price, they're going to start to say yes with confidence. And so, yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. It's been a couple of years. I love it. And so, yeah, we're going to control the emotional part of the sale, because how many of you know that if you go, order takers just go in and say, "What's wrong? This is broken. Here's how we can fix it. Here's the thing. Do you want to buy it or not?" And then that's so transactional. That's the old way of selling. And then you have to, when you try to take somebody through a process like that, and we don't tap into the emotional side of things, I'm sure, hopefully, raise your hand. If I could see you all, raise your hand. I am so used to training in person. Raise your hands. But hopefully, you've heard that a lot of people in the past have said people buy on emotion, and they justify that emotion with a piece of logic. Now, that's only half the story. But even at the half of the story, we're going to dive into this a lot more here in a few minutes. But even at that piece, if we stay transactional and focus on the what, we're leaving out the entire emotional piece, which is the bigger portion of why people make decisions and why people make decisions right now. And so that is, it's crucial that we're able to navigate the emotional side of the conversation, because that's our responsibility as a professional, is to guide the conversation to a desired outcome. And that's helping them make decisions. If you're a service tech, if you're in sales, if you're selling tech, it doesn't matter. Every interaction with the homeowner, anybody can fix the thing. Anybody can replace the capacitor. Anybody can replace a hot service igniter, or whatever it is. Diagnose a cracked heat exchanger. You can throw a rock and hit 1,000 people in your town that can do that. The difference is, why should they work with you to do that? And saying, I've taken one more class than the other guy so I can diagnose this better, is not enough. They have to be We have to be very relational. We have to have an emotional connection to them so they move forward. So they say, you know what, I trust this person enough that I feel safe in this buying decision. And that is what we're after. And that's what happens when we tap into the emotional side of things. Is this making sense, everybody? Drop your favorite emoji in the chat box if this is making sense so far. Is this making sense, Jonathan?
No, it is making complete sense.
Cool.
And so tell some reasons of like why people get this wrong.
Yeah. So many people get this wrong because, I mean, and we all come from a lot of the same place. We're all very technician minded. And we come from the place of, okay, well, this is broken. I know how to fix it. And, maybe we use original OEM parts instead of aftermarket parts or whatever it is. And so, okay, I can do this better than somebody else. And so just because we can fix something, we get this misconception that, well, people are going to buy from us because of that.
Okay.
Or on a little bit of different approach to that question is people get this wrong because they, coming from such a technical perspective, a lot of us, we have a hard time leaning into the emotional side of the conversation.
Okay.
We feel very reserved in it. We feel a lot of times like, well, I don't know if it's just my place to be able to have that conversation, but I'm here to give everyone permission. It's absolutely your place. That is equally important in the conversation because I liken it to this. If a buying decision is like driving a car, the steering wheel is the logic that points the wheels in the right direction. Yes, you're the right company. Yes, you're the right person. Yep, the project makes total sense. So it's pointed in the right direction. But if that's all that's there, hey, okay, cool. Email this to us. We got to think about it. The emotion is the gas pedal that causes them to take action and to take action now. So you have to have both of those pieces working together to get the car moving, not only in the right direction, but to get it moving and to get it moving now.
Okay.
That answer your question?
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Love it. So the first thing I want to cover with everybody. So I've got a couple foundational items, and then and check it in. So everybody, drop in where you're coming from in the chat box, and if this is making sense, put a number 1 if you're watching live, and number 2 actually if you're watching on replay. So that'll be a fun question there.
Oh yeah.
But couple foundational things I want to cover first with everybody. Number 1 is the permission stack. I know Christian has heard this before, but everybody else that's in here, with the permission stack, this is really important. And actually, we're going to have an opportunity here in a minute to do a little bit of role play. But I'm going to write this on the board. Let's go through it first, and then I want to show you the difference of what it feels like. What is the permission stack, and what does it do? Because how many of you have gone into an appointment and say the homeowner asks you a question and you go to answer that question, and it's like immediately as you start to answer, the wall goes up, eyes glaze over. Half the time they grab their phone and they start texting or scrolling Facebook right in the middle of your answer. You're like, you just asked me this question. Why is this happening? Because we didn't get permission to present the information. And so the permission stack is, I'm doing this old school. I had a whole slideshow, but you know what? I like this interaction. So I hope you like real training. So the permission stack is 3 steps. So number 1 is ask permission. Number 2 is to give the data or the info, whatever it is that they asked about or whatever it is that you're discussing. And number 3 is to check in. Okay, so this is the 3-step process. We've got to ask permission first at every section, and once you have the permission granted, then you give your information. Whatever your question you're answering, or if we started a new section, whatever you're going to educate about, that's where this piece goes. And then we got to check in. We got to make sure they understood it. Does that make sense? Do you follow me? Any questions about that? So it's really important that we follow this process, and this formula will help you out in a lot of different ways. So I would love right now, we're going to actually, is everybody open to doing a little bit of practice with this? Somebody drop in the comments if you would like to come on the screen with us and do a little bit of role play. And there might be a giveaway for you if you do. So drop in the comments. I'm going to keep going, and somebody drop in the comments, and we'll bring you on, and we can do some live role play here, because I want to make sure that this is making sense. And if nobody hops in, well, Jonathan and I can role play, because I want you to see and experience this. So we'll give a couple minutes, but the permission stack is crucial to really get the flow of your appointment. Your appointment should have a rhythm to it. And your rhythm and tempo of your appointment, you get to control it. Don't assume that everything is different because I just wing it each time. If that's the way that you do sales, you're only going to have limited results. When you get intentional about your process, then you can manage your results based on the things that you can control. And that's how we get to determine what our outcomes look like. So, Jonathan, we have a comment there just now. You want to be role play this with me?
Let's do it.
Right. Perfect. All right. So we're going to do this two different ways. First of all, we're just going to do a basic question like a homeowner asks us a lot. So let's take allergies, for example. So what I want you to ask me here in a second is something general like, hey, my family's been suffering from allergies a lot lately. Do you guys have any type of solutions for that?
Okay.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through it the first time, traditionally how we normally would have answered the question. And then we're going to hit timeout. We're going to go through it the second time using the permission stack process. And I want everybody to pay attention to what's different.
Okay.
And so let's just get started. So ask me the question and then we'll get going.
Hey, Sam, my family struggles with a lot of allergies, and we've got a couple cats. Like, do y'all have anything that helps with any of those issues or problems?
Oh man, absolutely we do. So we've got what's called a Remy Halo. It's a UV light. It's a germicidal lamp. It goes in your ductwork, and what it's going to do, it's going to zap all those allergens as they go by. And so timeout. So that's how we would typically answer. We would just go straight into a product.
Okay.
Right. And start telling. So let's do it again. And we're going to do it with the permission stack this time. And everybody that's watching, I want you to pay attention to some of the differences. And then I'll unpack what I mean by that as soon as we get through it. So ask me again, and let's do it this way.
Hey, Sam, we've got a couple animals in the house, and I've got, ever since we moved to Texas, we've have serious allergy issues. Never had allergies ever, right? Our whole life, but the whole family's been struggling with a lot of allergy issues. And we've got some allergy tests done, and there's actually a couple of the trees here in North Texas area that we struggle with. Do y'all have anything that helps as far as the air and stuff that we're breathing inside our home?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? We've got some great solutions for that. Would you like to hear what they are?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So time out. That's all we need to do. Did everybody notice the difference? So first of all, I want to ask you, because we've never actually done this,
right?
Which is really fun. So this was kind of cold. What did you feel different the second time?
Well, the second time I felt I asked you the question, do you have something? But at the same time, you're saying, yeah, we do have something, do you want to know what those are? You're getting my permission again. You're getting my buy-in again. And the other way was super overwhelming. It felt like you were throwing up sales. It's all my brain heard was sell, 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 sell. And it was confusing, overwhelming, and it sounded very expensive.
100%. And that's exactly That's exactly how it's perceived. So we'll take it one step further. We're gonna add some supercharge to it here in a
Okay.
second.
All right.
But the other thing that I don't know if you noticed, and so everybody paying attention, watch this section, even rewind it back and watch that replay. The first time you sat perfectly still, zero response.
Okay.
The second time you nodded, you said absolutely, and leaned in just slightly. Major difference in noticing the body language around the response also.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and
I almost felt like taken back the way
mhm,
you and I know I can come off that way sometimes in sales, and I have to like retrain myself because I get excited about
mhm,
helping someone,
yeah,
right? So I can put myself in the shoes of these technicians if they have it in their home and they know that it is like save their kids from having major allergy issues stuff. Like I can see where someone says like, "Hey, you got something that can help us?" Hell yeah, we do. Let me tell you
mhm,
all about it, right? Because they're
mhm,
excited, but it's not about being excited or that being offensive.
mhm,
You have to like you got to put yourself in the shoes of that person that's on the receiving end, right? And like
absolutely.
you're going to scare them away or confuse them
Mhm,
or just completely turn them off for whatever it is that
yeah.
may be a beautiful solution to help them.
Mhm. Yeah, no doubt. And it's not about limiting the excitement. It's about controlling the conversation because and here's the one more piece to this before we take it a step further is the first time I didn't even really answer the question that was asked. The question, so one thing that's very, very crucial, especially as we start to think about a sales conversation, we have to answer the question that was asked. The question that was asked was, do you have a solution? The answer to that is yes.
Okay.
Hard stop. You didn't ask me what the solutions were. You asked me, did I have a solution? So it's really important to when we start to think of so for everybody paying attention, this is a bit more of next level sales, but the faster that you can understand these types of language dynamics, the clearer your communication becomes and the better they're going to hear it and understand it. Because if we directly answer the question that was asked was yes, we have a solution. So now let's supercharge that. Um, so we'll just pick it up from right there. Absolutely, we have some great solutions for that. Would you like to hear what they are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Well, before we get into that, do you mind if I ask you a few more questions to make sure that I clearly understand what you're going through and what you're experiencing? That way I can recommend the right solutions for that.
Yeah, it's just the like I said when we moved here to Dallas, none of us have ever experienced any allergy issues, but it seems like we almost didn't believe it. So we had to go to the doctor. The doctor kept saying it was allergies.
Mhm,
We didn't believe it. And then we
mhm.
had some allergy tests done. So this is very new to us, but it's
Yeah,
just constant issues with watery eyes and, stuff in our face and our nose. And it's just, we
got
haven't
it.
experienced it, but we've been told it's kind of common here in North
Mhm,
Texas, Dallas area because everything from the foothills of Austin kind of blows up here.
mhm.
But it's just new to
Yeah,
us, and it's
yeah,
like
for sure.
I understand if we got to be out and about outside, and but inside our home, would love to protect us from it if we possibly could.
Gotcha. I hear it. So I'm going to do a couple things here, everybody. So you know what? We hear that a lot. The good news is you called the right place because we've got some great solutions for that.
Okay.
And you know what? A lot of people in this area, especially in your neighborhood, how we've helped them is there's a couple specific things we typically do, which we'll get into that. But tell me more about the trees. So you said it's allergens from the foothills, and is there anything specific that was?
It was like
So
it
we're
was
going to time out here because we could
okay.
keep going.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so what I did there, everybody, one is you called the right place. We deal with this a lot. So we're reassuring that we have a solution. And then we use social proof. Man, you know what we do to help a lot of people in this area, especially in your neighborhood? Now we've got some social proof in there that, hey, we've solved this problem with people around you. So what we're doing is we're creating people, in sales, we hear the word trust thrown around a lot. What's up, Peter? We hear the word the word trust thrown around a lot. We're not after the trust. The trust is the bridge. When there's trust established, that means you feel safe. They feel safe enough to make a buying decision. So what we're doing with you called the right place. It's peace of mind. We've helped homeowners just like you guys in this area. We're lowering their resistance. It's peace of mind that we have the solution for the problem. So now they're more open to hear what the solutions might be because we've created a container of trust around this conversation. So in fact, I have an entire 6-part series on creating a container in a sales process. So go back to the Close It Now podcast. If you've never listened to Close It Now, I've got a whole 6-part series on setting a container.
Okay.
So it's a really powerful one if you want to know more about that. So that's the permission stack. You can use it when people ask a question. Another variation on that is when you're introducing new information, which is basically I stacked that you did a permission stack right in the middle of answering the question with a permission stack. It's like, hey, so when you're introducing a new topic, hey, our clients tell us it's important to know about our company and the person they're working with. Before we get started, I'd love to take a minute and cover that with you. Would that be all right? So just right at the beginning, you can even do it like that. So the permission question first, they'll say, yes, sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I want to know about you. Tell them about the company, tell them about yourself. And then, yeah, does that make sense? Do we sound like the kind of company you would feel comfortable with so far? It's our check-in question.
I know you're big on psychology and things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
help people that are listening. I want to say a lot of I want to say a lot of technicians and maybe even comfort consultants out there that haven't gone through the right training,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe been trained by some of the wrong people, right? Like that don't go through some of these I think pivotal, super important aspects of the whole entire sales journey.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of let everyone know, what is that doing from a psychological standpoint to the customer? Like some people just think it's just that's cheesy, Sam. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds so ridiculous. Like, why would I ask them? Hey, my company, likes me to tell a little
Mm-hmm.
about your company, and it's all right with you if I just tell you a little bit about me and the company. Like some people think, well, that sounds just like the cheesiest thing I've ever heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But tell them, what do you train people that have that mindset to get them over it?
Yep, 100%. So there's several things going on there. One is because the people that think that are only thinking about themselves. And so actually, before I answer this question, let me introduce this next section and then we'll circle right back to it because
Okay.
it's a perfect segue into where we're going.
Okay.
So there's something that I call the benefit lens. So the benefit lens is if you are in your homeowner's shoes, what are you thinking? Basically, every single thing that we communicate, in sales, hopefully you've all heard the terms, you've got to talk about the benefits, not just the features. I explain it slightly different. It's like if you're telling the features, all you're doing is reading the spec sheet. But know this, when we're in our industry, we understand what that spec sheet does and what it's going to do for them, but they don't. So in that same way, it doesn't matter what piece we're communicating, we have to translate it into terms of how this is going to change their life, how it's going to help them, why this is important to them. So what this means for you is, and those types of things to be able to communicate why we're doing what we're doing. But it's never just the thing, it's how we frame the thing. And so when we get to especially at the beginning, it's crucial that we have an introduction and we have an agenda right at the beginning. Most people, they'll come in and go, hey, what are we doing today? And they'll just take off and get to measuring stuff and maybe have a quick discussion. And then once they sit back down at the kitchen table, then they go, Okay, I'm going to tell you, let me tell you a little bit about the company, and they just go straight into it. And they never hardly introduce themselves, definitely don't give any history. And then we ask them for $50,000 and wondering why they got to think about it. You didn't even